This week, we leave Cat Island for the Dominican Republic, but the weather ended up being just right for us to go all the way to the BVI instead. Along the way, we had a few problems, and the waves got a little rough, but after 6 days at sea, we made it.
'Cause even in the madness, there is peace, drowning out the voices all around me. Through all of this chaos, you are writing a symphony, oh.
So, we are underway. We are starting our longest passage yet with just the three of us. We're sailing from Cat Island to Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. Should take 4 to 5 days. Weather looks good, the waves look good, and so the window is great for us to go ahead and do it. A little worried because there are just three of us on shift, and we might be pretty tired by the end of this. But we have plenty of bailout points. We have weather routing from Chris Parker, Seascape, and we have been working on the weather ad nauseum for the last couple of days. So we have lots of contingencies planned for, and I think it'll be okay wherever we end up. So there we go. We'll see what the next 4 to 5 days has in store for us. So far, this passage has been really nice. It was a little bumpy last night, but today it is just flat. It's just big swells that are really easy to take. Huge periods in between them. Just look at that. It's nothing. I know this won't last. It's another day or two, and then the winds are supposed to pick up. The waves are supposed to change direction. We're changing directions. But for this brief moment in time, this is a really nice part of the passage. So we've been on this passage now for 2 days, and we expect we'll turn to the south tomorrow to head towards the Dominican Republic. But the weather is looking good enough for us to go all the way to the Virgin Islands. It would be pretty amazing. It would add another 18 hours to the passage. So we're thinking about doing that. We're checking with our weather routing to see what they think. I think it looks good. All the models match up. It doesn't look like the waves will be too uncomfortable. There's very little rain in the forecast. It seems ideal. So we may be changing plans mid-journey. Now, if we do that, it puts us into the Virgin Islands sometime Wednesday. Today's Sunday. So we'd have another 3 days left to go on our passage. We've had 2 really good days. It's been relatively calm, very few storms. Everybody's in a good mood. Everybody's getting sleep. So I don't know why we wouldn't do this. So we'll check with weather routing. We'll keep watching the models, and then we'll make a decision tomorrow morning to either turn south towards the Dominican Republic, or keep going that way towards the Virgin Islands.
Just capturing the moment.
All right, midday, day 3, and we've changed plans. We were originally going to make a turn right about now towards the Dominican Republic, but instead we're going to keep on going east. The weather looks great for us to just keep going and then turn to the Virgin Islands in a day or two. This will save us a lot of time in the future because we won't have to wait for weather to cross the Mona Passage between the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. We won't have to figure out the timing to sail all the way along the southern coast of Puerto Rico. We won't be racing the calendar because we need to get home for Christmas. So this buys us a lot of that time.
We were 200 miles offshore at this point, and this guy showed up out of nowhere. Eventually, he figured out our boat wasn't a great perch, and he moved on.
One of your gifts, doing paperwork for the government.
Not paperwork, I'm organized. So I like to
Are you saying I'm disorganized?
sometimes with some things.
This is where it gets ugly on the boat, you know, after day 3.
Do you agree
Just start
with me?
hurling insults.
Are you?
So another very boring day of motoring. Nothing to speak of. A few little showers here and there, but just boring. Looks like tonight we'll have some showers. You can see them kind of to the north of us here, and they're not the big kind of storms like convective with lightning and that sort of stuff in them. So we might get a boat wash, but that's about it. And they shouldn't have high winds in them either. So we've got another day, and then we'll start turning south, and we'll be in the BVI before we know it. So our biggest battle right now is boredom. So after 3 days of boredom, we finally had something interesting happen at night. We ran into some storms. Luckily, they're not bad storms at all. There's no thunder and lightning. They're relatively small, maybe 4 or 5 miles across, and there's some good wind inside of them. So we've got Genoa out, and we're hitting 7, 8 knots. Kind of fun. It'll only last for about 30 minutes, and then we'll be back to the boredom, but, you know, it's something to do. We're looking for anything here to make this more interesting. So on watch, usually we're at the helm, but when you're motoring, you can be inside in the air conditioning. The instrument's up on the iPad, handheld radio, and the remote for the autopilot. It works really great. If you had sails up, it'd be different. So after 4.5 days of motoring, we finally got to the wind that was predicted, and we were able to turn the engines off and get the sails up. Now when we went to put the main up, it didn't sound right, and we ended up having quite a problem where the main halyard had detached from the sail. I got some video of that, and so we'll see if I can explain what happened.
What you are looking at here is the view from the cockpit of me up in the sailbag trying to untangle our main sheet halyard from the lazy jacks. A shackle had come loose at some point, and the halyard had wrapped itself around these lines a bunch of times. It was really rolly at this point, and at the suggestion of Seascape, I figured I'd try using a really long boat hook before dragging out the bosun's chair and going up the mast. This took a really long time, and at one point I thought I made it worse. Eventually I got things untangled, and I was able to get the end of the halyard down and hooked back up.
Anyway, we got the halyard fixed, got it on, got the main up, woods out, and we are cruising now. I think it's going to be a nice sail all the way to BVI. We'll get in, I think we have 2 days of this, and we'll be there. So very excited. It seems like it's been a great passage so far, and we're hoping the next 2 days are just as good. Come on. quick update. It's the evening. It's like almost 3 in the morning after we turned south towards BVI. And as expected, there were going to be winds here and waves. But man, it is really uncomfortable. We're getting tossed around a lot. It's hard to get the sails right because we'll go through 20 knots and then the wind will just disappear, like zero. Because these storms will pass by and suck all the energy out of the atmosphere. That's what it looks like anyway. So I think we have another day of this, and then we'll be there. But boy, it is noisy and uncomfortable, and I'm going to be really cranky by the time we get there. Just kind of sucks. But this is part of passage making, right? You can have 4 glorious days like we had, and then you get to where you actually have wind and you can sail, and it gets a little tough. We'll be better for it on the other side, but man, it is, it's not fun tonight. Alright, we're getting beaten up now. Can't tell it, but yeah, this is not a fun ride. It's gonna be like this all day and all night. This is just what happens, and the boat can handle more than we can. Oh. Wish I had that one on video. And just like that, we go from a really crappy night and crappy morning where things are getting thrown left and right to the seas calming down, the wind clocking just enough to make for a really pleasant sail. So we got both sails up, we're cruising along. It looks like we're going to get to BVI's exactly when we want to, right as the sun's coming up. And I don't know, there's just something about it. You go through all these highs and lows on these passages. And I know these aren't long passages, but it seems like that's how it works out. Maybe I'm an emotional dork, I don't know. But feeling really good right now. It's a really nice sail, calm enough to be able to hang out up here. And we're less than 100 miles away from our destination. So after 2,000 miles in 1 month, we are almost to the Virgin Islands. Does this make sense? Damn it! So, it is 4 in the morning, and we are just off the coast of the British Virgin Islands. We're about 10 miles or so from there. The sun's going to come up, and we'll be able to see what we're doing and go in and check in. And that'll be the end of our longest passage ever, 6 days. It's been an interesting passage. We're lucky enough to get really good weather, and the way that the fam came together and really pitched in and worked as a team made it easy. I can't say enough about how interesting it is to take 3 people and put them together for 24 hours a day for a long period of time. We all got along really quite well. I don't even think I yelled. Anyway, good passage. It was the longest one we've ever done, and I think we did very well. There were plenty of things to learn along the way, and yeah, it was great. Looking forward to the sun coming up so we can see where we are, because I remember the
BVI being a beautiful place. So we'll see. Hey, we're here. You want to come look? You can go back to sleep, but you should come look. It's beautiful. Or look out your window. Here, look. Look out your window. So, on the passage, what was the best part of the 6-day passage?
Getting here. The fact that the seas were not terrible for the 5 of the 6 days.
Yeah, that's true. What was the worst part?
Being anxious about getting here, like kind of that adrenaline rush last night, and just wanting to get here and not being able to sleep.
Like worry, like,
Something's gonna go wrong.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
almost there, and it's irrational. I know that, but just that, and then not being able to go to sleep because of the adrenaline. That's
Yeah.
pumping because you're so ready to get here.
that's true. Think you could go longer than 6 days?
Not today.
You want to go to the Med?
Not today.
Pacific Crossing?
I'll fly.
25, 30 days? Could you do 25 to 30? Maybe next year?
On a really big boat that's 150 feet, maybe.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for watching. It was hard to try to capture what 6 days at sea was like, but hopefully you got the idea. Follow us on Instagram if you want to keep up with us on a daily basis, and thanks again for watching. We'll see you next week as we explore the BVIs.